Maybe you have heard this idea of shoving your shoulds or stop shoulding on yourself or unshould your life, but you're wondering, what the hell does that even mean to shove your shoulds or release those shoulds? It means that you are done living for everyone else's approval. You are done chasing perfection and done molding yourself into what the world has told you you should be, or what your life should look like, or how it should feel, or how you should parent, or how you should do anything in your life. Means that we are done with all of that should. And in this video, I am going to show you what it really means to shove your shoulds and how doing this one thing can change everything about how you live, love, and lead in your life. My name is Frew, and I help women who are successful on the outside. Life is going good from all the things that you see. Life feels good, looks good, but really inside, it doesn't feel good. Inside, you are feeling like something is off. This doesn't feel the way I had imagined. It doesn't feel the way I was promised it would feel. And now they want to get unstuck in their lives and make bold, imperfect decisions so that they can lead a life that feels really freaking good. And today we are going to talk about what shoulds really are. Let's start with the truth. Shoulds aren't rules. They are conditioning, but our brain is convinced it is a hard, fast rule of how we should live our lives. Think about it. I should graduate from high school. I should get married. I should want a partner. I should have kids. I should wear this. I should dress like that. I should do my hair this way. But really, it's all just conditioning that's been instilled from us, been instilled in us from a young age. Shoulds are inherited expectations from family, religion, culture, society, and past relationships that keep us stuck in a life that doesn't feel good. It is keeping us stuck in something that doesn't resonate. And we think that shoulds are helpful, that they are guidelines that are helping us go towards happiness, joy, peace, contentment. But really, they are keeping women small and disconnected from their intuition. They keep us from taking action on the thing we really want to do. And here's the deal. Shoulds come from our families, culture, society, and all of these things. Religion is a very big one. And they show us a pathway forward in our lives. They are like, this is the way forward. This is how you have happiness. This is how you are the good girl, the good wife, the good partner, the good employee, whatever it is, the good parent, the good mom. And they keep us from actually finding what feels right from us. And they have disconnected us from ourselves from a very young age. In fact, you are the first person you were taught not to trust, whether it was by well-intentioned leaders, family members, church people, parents, grandparents, whoever it was. There was a moment in your life as a young child that you were told who you should be. And it sounded like this. It sounded like you shouldn't want that. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't hurt that bad. You need to dress this way. You shouldn't wear that. You shouldn't feel that way. You're too emotional. You're not emotional enough. You need to be louder. You need to be quieter. All of these things are shoulds that we carry in our head. There are shoulds telling us how we need to show up and what we need to do. And ultimately, when the shoulds start piling up, they keep us from taking action on what feels best for us. They keep us questioning what our intuition is telling us. So when we feel this inner knowing in ourselves, then we know there is something we need to act on, that we need to do. It keeps us from taking that action. And so when you start doing this, when you start questioning where you should do or what you should do, you want to start understanding what it is you really want. And maybe you're like, Jessica, I don't carry any shoulds. I don't have any of those. I would encourage you to go take my should score quiz. It is 6 questions long, and it will tell you exactly where you are shoulding on yourself and how much should you are carrying in your life. So you can get a clear picture in less than 5 minutes of, is should showing up on my life? Where is it showing up? And how much is showing up? And you can go take that quiz at heyjessicafrew.com/quiz. It is also below this video if you want to go take it right now. Hit pause, go take it, and then come right back. So here is the deal. is you can't outperform these shoulds. Many of us think, well, if I can carry the shoulds and keep going, I can keep doing the thing, I can keep moving forward even with the shoulds, I can be happy in the should. And the truth is you can't. Many women try to live in the should so that they can earn their worthiness. They can earn their right to be themselves. They can earn the things that they want. But you can't outrun the shoulds. You can't leave them behind. In my second marriage, we'll talk about my first marriage later, but in my second marriage, I came into it thinking that I could outrun the shoulds. I decided I could show up as the perfect mom, the perfect stepmom, and just embrace this new family. This was my chance to have it all. This was my chance to find peace, to find comfort, to have the partner that really loved me truly, and I was going to do it right this time. I felt like I did it right the first time, but that all went to crap. But this time it came with an even heavier cost of feeling like I was going to fail again if I didn't do it right. And so I leaned into the shoulds. I was doing everything I should do to be the perfect stepmom, to be the perfect ex-wife, to be the perfect wife to my current husband. And I really wanted to prove myself to my husband's ex-wife, to my ex, to my new in-laws, to my stepkids, to everybody except myself. I was trying to show up and do those things that proved that to them that I was worth keeping around. I was worth having, in the room. I was worth keeping in this new family that we are creating. And I had this idea of how our life should look for it to feel good, for it to be good, for it to be right, and for me to be considered a good stepmom. And so I did all of the things, and I started giving up what I knew was best for me. And I started giving up what I knew was best for my daughter. And I started doing these things in a form of should. I should be able to take my husband's kids everywhere. I should be able to make arrangements with his ex-wife and take that off of his plate. I should do all of the things that allowed him to show up fully in his work and in his dreams and do the things that he could just come home and relax and be present with the family, and he didn't have to think about anything else. But in this idea I had created of what a good stepmom looked like and what blending families should look like and feel like and be, I completely lost myself to the extent that I no longer knew who I was. I no longer knew what I wanted, and I could feel myself slowly disappearing in this relationship. And I could feel that I was shrinking and that I was conforming to something that didn't feel good. And the further I got into this, the more disconnected I was from my husband, the more disconnected I was from his kids, the more disconnected I was from myself and my daughter, and these things that were really important to me. And I got to the point where I realized I was more afraid of losing myself than I was of losing my husband. And so I left. I was like, I am done. If I keep moving forward in this way, I am going to lose who I am, and I don't want that. That was scarier than admitting maybe I had failed and that my second marriage wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and that, I was going to get divorced again. And so I moved out. I left one night when my daughter was at her dad's house. I packed up a few things and left my husband a note or a text, I can't remember, said, I am done. I can't do this anymore. I'll be back sometime next week to pack up mine and Penny's things, and we will move out. And in this weekend that I left, I got a full-time job that was something I was passionate about, that I was excited about. I found a new place for Penny and I to live. And I just decided, this was what it was going to be. I had everything lined up to start life as a single mom, as a single parent again. And I got to this point Sunday afternoon where I was like, I can't do this. I knew my husband and I were going to be really great together, that there was something there. And I also knew that I had started this marriage in a way that didn't serve either of us. I had started it living into the should and expectations of everybody else instead of myself. And I knew relationships didn't work that way. I had learned it in my first marriage. We had lived that deeply in our relationship. And so I knew I needed to do something different in order for this to work. And in this process, I was like, you know what? I am going to come back to this relationship in a way that actually feels good for me. And I'm going to stop living in the should. And I'm going to set some really scary, hard boundaries. And they felt scary because I thought, well, what if he decides to leave? What if his ex says this about me? What if, so-and-so doesn't think I'm a good stepmom? What if his kids feel X, Y, and Z? Whatever it was, whatever the story was that I was creating. And I was like, you know what? But what if I go back and I get to be happy in this relationship? And then that creates safety for my partner to be happy and for his kids to be happy and for his ex-wife to set the boundaries that she feels are good for her. And my daughter feels safe speaking up again. And so I went back with these new boundaries, and I didn't upheave everything all at once. I went back knowing this would be a slow, deliberate process. And I set one boundary in place at a time and started taking back my life and my voice. And the amazing thing that happened is it healed my marriage. I wasn't going back necessarily to heal my marriage. I was going back to show myself that I could show up in a way that felt good and that was real and that didn't cost me myself in this relationship, because I knew I couldn't stay in the relationship if it cost me me. And so I set one boundary in place at a time. And I want to mention that when I came back into this relationship, I walked back into our house and my husband was sitting on the couch with his kids, and I could tell from his face he didn't want me there. And I can just see it so clearly in my mind. And I just felt sick. But I knew this was what was best for me and wanted to see if it was best for our relationship and for our family. And ultimately, it ended up being that. I left a year into our marriage, almost to the day. It was basically our anniversary when I left. And fast forward, it has been 12 and a half years and we are still together. And we have created something that feels the way I hoped it would feel when we first got married. And it looks maybe very different than what I had imagined, but it feels so good. And it has allowed space and safety for everybody in our family. And if you were in this relationship, what I was in at that point, what I called it is perfect partner syndrome. And if you feel like you are living in perfect partner syndrome, or you are starting to see where you are shooting on yourself, whether it's in your relationship or your work or your parenting or whatever, I would really encourage you to go pick up my book, Shove Your Shoulds. It is free, and it is your permission slip to stop acting and start becoming who you were created to be. You can find the link for that down in the caption or whatever it's called below, just below this, or you can go to shoveyourshoulds.com/free book and pick up your free copy today. You just pay shipping and handling. It is the perfect spot to start when you are trying to unshould your life. So you might be starting to acknowledge where you are carrying some of these shoulds. And you were like, this is all great, Jessica. I hear you. I understand. I carry this conditioning. Maybe I understand I carry a lot of it or a little of it. But you're wondering, where do I begin? How do I deal with this? And I think of this as if you were in an AA program, or if you were in Al-Anon or something like that. If you are in some sort of 12-step program, the first step is that we have to acknowledge that something is going on. We have to acknowledge that, yes, this is a should I am carrying. This is something that I am doing. This is a belief that I am holding firm to. And we just have to acknowledge it. You don't even have to do anything with it at this point. Just acknowledging it helps us to form a new belief. Just acknowledging it helps us start to shift the way we think about it. So I encourage you, as I encourage all of my coaching clients to do, we start with a should challenge. And this is where for at least 1 week, you acknowledge one should a day that you are carrying. And I love the word should because it's an easy way to identify where we are holding judgment on something we are doing or that we should do. So an example of this could be, I should do this workout. I read all of this information. I know all of these things. I should go lift weights today. But really, when we start acknowledging there's a should there and keeping us from actually taking action, try switching that to a could. Now, in the should challenge, we are really just here to acknowledge it, to let it be seen. Oh my gosh, I am shoulding on myself about my workouts every single day. I am shoulding on myself about nutrition. I am shoulding on myself about what I should dress, how I should show up, what I should do with my hair, all of these seemingly little things that show up. And so acknowledge it. Now, if you want to take it a step further, you can change that should to a could and say, oh, I could go do this workout, or I could eat that meal, or I could whatever, and see how that feels. Do I actually want to do the workout? Or would it feel better to just go for a walk today? Or would it feel better to go for a run? Or maybe I was planning to do a walk or a run, but today I am feeling like lifting those weights. I feel like strengthening those muscles. So I am going to go do that instead. This is an example. I feel like we have so much information around nutrition and workouts. There's so many things in our head about that. It's a really easy example to use and to start with. We can kind of identify ourselves in what we think we should be doing. And also this comes down to how you want to style your hair. And what happens is when you identify these seemingly small shoulds, we start to see them in bigger things as well. And if we tackle them and start living into what feels best for us, instead of what is right or wrong or good or bad or what we should do, we start strengthening our muscle, our decision-making muscle. We start strengthening our ability to hear and understand our gut intuition. And we will get more into that in later videos. But for today, I want you to just acknowledge one should that you are carrying. And then if you want, change it to a could and see what feels best for you. The point is that every time you make a decision that honors you, it doesn't matter if it is a big or seemingly small decision. It matters that you are shoving that should and doing what feels best for you, taking that action. That is how we build confidence and keep moving forward. And again, if you are wondering where you're shoulding on yourself, or if you're even carrying any should, I encourage you to go take that should quiz so that you can start seeing like how much should you are carrying and where it is coming up. Again, it's free. You can go to heyjessicafrew.com/quiz and go check it out, or you can go find the link below. Here is the exciting thing. When you stop living by shoulds, you stop performing and start becoming more of you. You get to have more of you in your relationships, more of you in your business, more of you in your purpose in life. Whatever you feel called to do, you start getting more of you. And one thing that I really want to remind you of is when you do this, your kids start getting more of you, which is the greatest gift you can give them. It doesn't mean you're going to give them all of your time and effort and energy and all of those things, but you're going to be able to feel more present and deeply connected to them. And that is ultimately what we want in our parenting and what our kids want from us and what we want in life. And when you start releasing those shoulds, you finally get to live life from the inside out, and not from everyone else's expectations or everyone else's script that they have created for you. You were never meant to live small. You were meant to live bold. Again, if you are ready to start, go pick up my book, go take the should quiz. It's such a great place to get you going. So you might be saying, okay, Jessica, I see what you're talking about. I understand this idea of shoving your shoulds and how we can begin. And you might be wondering why we keep living in them. Yeah, sure, we have this information. It seems like an easy enough thing to release them. So why are we still here? Why do we keep going forward? And I have got you. This video right here is where you are going to go to understand why it is we are doing this. Because when you understand why we are here, then we can really start creating change in our lives. So go take a second and listen to this next video. I am excited to see you there.